Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was my favourite during my first reread in 2020, but now it's slipped down to fourth. In my previous video I said that Order of the Phoenix is the best book for me, and you can watch that video here. I get that the ending, length and Harry's anger are divisive, but the book is elite in my opinion. The Half-Blood Prince though, the ending is elite, but not the majority of the book. By the way, I'm talking about Harry Potter levels of elite, not common fiction levels. The book is great, you get what I'm saying, but let me tell you the scores. So plot 80, characters 80, emotional impact 90, pacing 100, writing style 84, themes 75, uniqueness 75, book cover 50, overall score 82.15. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment in the section as to what you thought about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. It's kind of weird that this has dropped down so severely in the rankings. If you asked me in 2020 what all my review metrics for this were, it would have been 100 all around. I loved Harry's paranoia with Malfoy. I thought that was great. I think what fueled my high rating of the book was the fact that, one, film-wise, this is the worst film, and I've held that since I was 12 years old or whatever. And two, it didn't have to be the worst film because the book had more than enough material for it to be a great film. And I think just rereading it properly as an adult in 2020, and I was just so mind blown as to things that they left out, I think they really did a disservice to it. And I still do. I think I came into it with a much clearer head this time around. Anyway, let me move on to the things that I had forgotten about. I forgot how underdeveloped Tonks is. I think she's everyone's, one of everyone's favorite side characters. She's so different, so quirky. She has such a vibrant and bright personality. I think we really missed the beat with her. Well, I say J.K. Rowling did, especially in The Half-Blood Prince. It's just weird when she's with Harry and the things that aren't said between the two, the things that aren't explored between the two. Especially because I think at this point, Tonks is probably the youngest aura out of all the auras with me, and she might be the youngest member of the Order of the Phoenix too. So she's closer to age with Harry and the rest of the guys. And we see that in the films when she's kind of playing about with them and whatnot. She still has that kind of youthful energy to her. So it's kind of strange that she's not closer to, the group. But then again, I know she is an adult, she is of age. But going back to her and Harry, I always found it strange that they didn't really talk about Sirius. They had if I remember correctly, two distinctive scenes together in the book. One where Tonks is walking Harry from Hogsmeade to Hogwarts at the start of the book, which is literally a prime time to talk about Sirius. Doesn't happen. We see Tonks' new Patronus and, Snape being a dickhead to her, but that's about it. And I think there's one further on in the book where Tonks is in the castle and she's looking for Dumbledore or something. And again, it's just so weird. So, I know I'm starting on a sour note, which is not how my Harry Potter series has been so far, but it is what it is. Moving on, I forgot about the scene in the Weasley's joke shop. I love that it was basically the only normal business in Diagon Alley. Also, it was sad to see Diagon Alley so gloomy because Voldemort's reign of terror was just so mad and people go missing, and obviously you got Ollivander being kidnapped and he basically was an OG. It's done well in the films as well, but in the books the scene is even better, especially Harry's interaction with the twins and how grateful they are to him, and obviously you got the trio sneaking out to spy on Malfoy and whatnot. It was very well done in the books. I love the detail in it. One of the themes in this book, and it was in the last book as well, is again the romance is starting to bubble up a lot more now, which is good because everyone's Ginny's 15, Harry's 16, Harry and the crew are 16, so it makes perfect sense, right? And I do like the subtle hints of Harry's attraction to Ginny and how this is portrayed through potions and how when they were in their first potions class and they were talking about, I don't know, what they most crave, the scent in the room was what they most craved, and what they'd smell. And Harry smelt the wood of a broomstick, something else I'd forgotten about, and the scent of what he commonly knew as the borough. Quote, he caught a sudden whiff of that flowery smell that he picked up in Slughorn's dungeon. He looked around and saw that Ginny had joined them. So in that Slughorn class, he also smelled Ginny. Unbeknownst to him, he'd subconsciously registered her scent, for lack of a better word. And then when Ginny joined them randomly, he deeped that it was Ginny that he craved. And so having that just hit him and hit us was like, that was pretty cool. That was pretty well done. And Ginny, we see quite a bit of Ginny in this book in multiple ways. One of the crazy big things in this book, which was done really well, was that we see our first big Weasley fight, and we learn that Ginny really is about this life. It brought me back to when in Order of the Phoenix, the twins and Ron were talking about how Ginny's hexes are very serious and like she's quite powerful witch. And because when Ginny and Ron are going at it, Ginny's like ready to like fully fight the guy, and Ginny is definitely more advanced magically than Ron, like 100%. She's a lot more confident, a lot more serious with it, and so Ron is definitely losing a duel with Ginny, 100%. I love that whole scene because one, it was so unique. We haven't seen the Weasley siblings really go at it. They're a tight-knit family and they tease each other relentlessly, but there's a lot of love there. And it was weird to see them, like Ron and Ginny, actually about to fight, and it was mad. And it was all because of the whole Ron and Hermione storyline, and JK really ramped that up. Yeah, Ginny just going at Ron because Ron's like super judgmental about her romantic life, and Ginny's just saying he's jealous because he hasn't kissed anyone yet, and like, oh, she's just going for the jugular. And what's mad is that Ginny was even dragging Harry into it by saying, oh, well, Harry's kissed because he kissed Cho. And the whole time Ginny's obviously jealous about Cho. She has been the whole time. She's always wanted Harry. But she even brings that up. Like, that's how far that argument went. And so that's one of the most epic scenes in the book for me, because we just got to see more of Ginny. And these are really the moments that you get where if we incorporated more of Ginny into the story, it would have really ramped up the angst and just the plethora of feelings that are going around. It's quite something. But shout out to Ron, because not long after this, he actually joined the club of those who'd been kissed. It came at a price though. Quote, the improved Ron came at a heavy price. Firstly, Harry had to put up with the frequent presence of Lavender Brown, who seemed to regard any moment that she was not kissing Ron as a moment wasted. The whole Lavender Brown thing was actually quite hilarious. And of course, like, Ron had to now become someone. He had to become a Quidditch player, he had to get on the team and display some sort of heroics during the game for him to like finally get attention from a girl naturally, and not just like a sort of obligation type thing like he had with one of the Patel twins in The Goblet of Fire, because he was inviting her to the Yule Ball. So that was more orchestrated because the Yule Ball was an actual thing. It's an actual event, where this is sort of like regular life, Hogwarts life type of thing. So it was a lot more natural. But speaking of Hogwarts is super dangerous in this book. Like, Hogwarts has always been dangerous because of, like, obviously it's a magical castle in itself, with magical students and magical teachers and ghosts and a whole bunch of hidden things, right? This book, it's actually on site for everyone. Like, everyone's in danger. The murder schemes are mad, and people are just catching strays. We have an abundance of poisons and cursed objects in this book. First, Katie Bell's the first victim, then Ron's a victim, plus just everything that happened with the battle scene at the end. it was on for everyone. Like, there's an active plot to kill Dumbledore that succeeds. It's on site for everyone in this book. It's really mad. And speaking of, missions and whatnot, the stealth of everything was quite a surprise, because at this point everything had been so overt, and it was all about Harry, the boy who lived. We get to see the more subtle missions that the Death Eaters can be a part of. And we kind of saw that in the last book as well. I didn't talk about it, I don't think, but we saw it in the last book when the devil's snare plant was sent to that unspeakable worker in St. Mungo's. And, the crew saw it and then later learned that the devil's snare had killed that worker. But at the time when they saw the plant, be presented, I think it was Ron that mentioned that it was a dumb idea for someone to buy that as a present. Don't they know what it does? And so they just naturally thought that it was a mistake. But turns out it was actually a very clever plan to discreetly kill someone who works in the Department of Mysteries, who might be able to spill the beans on what actually transpired. But yep, it is still a magical world. One thing I love about this book, and I should have talked about it at the start really, is the introduction with the Muggle Prime Minister and that whole scene. I still cannot believe they left this out of the film, because it would have been an absolute killer scene. Imagine like Hugh Lowry or someone as the Muggle Prime Minister, and then you got Fudge coming in telling him about the magical world. It's one of probably the best scenes and the most underrated scenes in the series, and it revealed a lot. I was sad when Fudge told the Prime Minister that Amelia Bones died and that Voldemort killed her himself, and that she put up a fight, which is always good to hear about. But I love the normal human Muggle reaction to it, like just to everything. Quote, "But for heaven's sake, you're wizards, you can do magic. Surely you can sort out, well, anything." Grimgor turned slowly on the spot. "The trouble is, the other side can do magic too, Prime Minister." Just epic. Epic, epic, epic. Moving on, we get to learn more about Voldemort's backstory, which was epic. I see why this part of the story really makes this book a fan favorite, because we need to see how he grew up and who he was before he became this dark entity, and it was expertly done. And it also revealed more about why Voldemort fears Dumbledore. Dumbledore knew him as a kid. That's why, he really knows you. He's seen your environment. He's probably the only one that actually saw Voldemort in that orphanage. So Dumbledore knows him quite intimately. He knows the BS that Voldemort used to get up to as a kid regarding the other kids. And even that whole scene when Dumbledore's talking to the workers in the orphanage, which again, they shouldn't have left out, reveals a lot. The orphanage couldn't wait to get rid of Voldemort, well, Tom Riddle back then, but they couldn't wait to get rid of him because, you could tell what path he was going down even at a young age. And he was already involved in sort of the darker side of magic and whatnot. And I like that we learn a lot more about dark magic in this book. From the Half-Blood Prince potions book and the spells within it to Horcruxes and everything. This book is literally all about the dark arts and the dark magic for sure. And that's kind of what separates it. And speaking of Horcruxes, it's just learning more about that and finally understanding the immortality and how immortal Voldemort is was just nuts. But yet, he's immortal but yet vulnerable. And I like how, Dumbledore's got his lessons with Harry and they're going through things. And this is what really separates this book from the rest of the series. It is quite unique due to the abundance of dark magic, which was nicely done by JK, because this sort of introduction, well, not introduction, but more in-depth look at dark magic coincided beautifully with Voldemort's actual return. But as always with this series, there's more. There's always more. Draco Malfoy and Harry Potter have constant paranoia throughout this book for different reasons. Harry's paranoid that Draco's up to something big, which he was right about. and Draco was just paranoid about not getting the job done and feeling the wrath of Voldemort for failing at his mission, especially because Draco knew he was being set up to fail. You know, this was, I don't think, the way Draco talks about it, I don't think that the plan to kill Dumbledore covertly was even the main sort of, I guess, plot of Voldemort, for lack of a better word. I think this is a Hail Mary from Voldemort. Like, when you think about it, it's really done to punish Lucius for all his failings, and we know that. But it is a Hail Mary because the expectation is Draco will fail miserably, he'll pay the price, Lucius will pay the price also. I think killing Dumbledore in this was secondary. Not even secondary, that's how much of a Hail Mary it was. It was just about punishment for the failure of the Death Eaters. But Draco got it done. And then Harry's telling everyone about his paranoia. He's told Dumbledore. I love how he keeps calling Professor Snape Snape, and then Dumbledore always has to correct him because Harry's just convinced that Snape is loyal to Voldemort, and that is it. You can't convince him otherwise. Again, love this book. I loved it more in 2020. I guess this is the curse of rereads, especially because this is like my second reread of this book in particular. Because I hate when my views change when the ranking goes down and the love goes down a little bit. It's a shame. You guys need to check out my Revisiting as an Adult series. It's full of books that I'm revisiting. It's got Harry Potter at the moment, but I'm doing Maze Runner, and that should be dropping sometime in October. Check that out. Thank you all for watching. Tell me what you thought about this book. Thank you.